Now you may be curious and say, Umbra, why are you using so much background 12 music lately? I don't know, I'm just in that kind of a mood. Hi everybody, it is time to take a look at the most recent addition to the game in terms of dream enhancements as we determine whether or not they're good or not. And of course, I'm damn sure that everybody on the global side is very curious about Starlit Elena. But we have a little bit of some old units to go over first before we get to the new ones. So first off, Jayden Rundle. This one won't take very long. Dream Enhancement. Initial AP of 15, AoE resistance of 10. In combination with the new Bahamut card, you know what? That's a fair amount of AoE resistance. More durable than what he used to be. Give it credit, kids, where credit is due. As for his job level 25, the now breaks magical barriers, deals as much damage and decreases CT. Don't think there's too terribly much here. I wasn't much of a fan of Jayden his entire career, and the Dream Enhancement ain't really doing that much for me. So, moving on. Next up, we are going to be talking about Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh, one of the first characters in the game. I say that because I don't exactly know how it's coded, but Gilgamesh has been around forever. What about his dream enhancement? Well, it is pretty substantial in the sense that it's got a lot of stuff. Defense penetration up by 20, defense debuff resistance for all attack types, elemental types, defense debuff, and spirit debuff resistance by 100 permanently. Basically means that you can't debuff him for certain things, such as his elemental resistance, his attack type resistance, his defense, and his spirit. Whatever you put on this character is essentially permanent. And I have to say, it's pretty damn cool. There's so many characters that feel like, oh, you can just get by this now with this, or you can get by with this. Like, there are characters that can get 100% slash resistance or penetration. And it's like, well, why do I even have that slash resistance? That's annoying. This goes a long way to being something that could be a really cool update, especially if it was on a tank. Being on Gilgamesh, it feels kind of so-so because he's never going to excel too terribly much at this. Maybe someone's going to do an interesting build or find something broken with him along the lines of Skahal, but he just doesn't quite have that. Most of his support skills are still pretty bad. Thankfully, I mean, he is at least getting a upgrade to one of his abilities as well, which is one of his earlier ones. The large AoE becomes more flexible now, decreases slash resistance by 38% at the start, dispels auto revive, has a 165 mod, and a 30% hit chance. Honestly, it's pretty good. It's just that, honestly, it's hard to evaluate, because even if we just bring up Gilgamesh, which, sure, not the greatest version or anything like that, but, I mean, with my current build, I don't have the highest hopes that he is going to be something absolutely game-breaking. If the equipment was there, or if you could really stack it up, I think he would be absolutely awesome, but as it stands right now, it's just kind of bleh. Moving on. Alright, we will take a look at Engelbert and Cadia's MA2s near the end of this video, so please keep that in mind. Along. Alright, Zazan. What a weird one. Chance of being targeted decreased by 4, 30% HP, and his killer blade gets upgraded to not only have... This is such a weird one. His job level 25, which had human killer and dealt a 205 mod, now decreases human resistance, whatever the hell that means. I mean, obviously it's basically just making the target weaker kind of thing, but I have to say it's incredibly hilarious that it's just human resistance. I didn't know that was a thing. Does Ibarra have human resistance? Weird, kind of funny, kind of quirky. Zazan continues to be Zazan. but I don't think he'll be game breaking. Knock on wood. All right, next up, let's get one of the easier ones or a couple of easy ones out of the way. Adelard, 200% chance for a 20% magic damage, as well as increasing his Firaga. Firaga is now a large AoE. Doesn't really do anything else. Still has casting time. Moving on. Adelard, I don't think is very good. He didn't get any extra agility, so therefore I don't think he's going to be any better than what he was previously. Next up, Murmur. Also another easy one because increase HP by 1,000. Give her one slightly better skill. Her job level 25. Decreases earth resistance by 38% and a 185 mod and a large AoE. Don't think it's enough of an upgrade. Moving on. Excited. Alright, moving into more interesting characters. Let's go into Khury. Khury, 25% agility increase is definitely not nothing, considering that he was pretty slow before, and this will make him generally faster. As for his other skill, job level 25 ability now increases the attack, magic, and agility of allies, which it did before. Also increases missile attack resistance penetration by 40 for 3 turns for self, and grants him 15 AP upon landing a critical. Honestly, actually pretty good, I think, of an upgrade. Faster means he can do stuff more. This buff is pretty strong, and generally pretty powerful for him as well now. So Khury had incredible range, and this is kind of interesting. Khury might end up being in a fair number of limited guild wars in the future. We'll have to wait and see, but this is one of my better grades for sure. I'm just not going to say it's super great because I'm not sure how good his speed is. Anyway, next up, Lorenzo. Attack increased by 20%, initial AP by 15. Generally pretty good for a attack-based character. Looking at his, now removes Protect, Shell, Guts, and Auto Revive on a 220 mod with fairly decent range. Kind of interesting. Does have casting time though, so I'm going to put this on the nope category. Although that is a pretty awesome attack. I would love to see that on some other characters. Next up, Phoebe, a low-tier character who people have quite a few fondness, and I think she is actually quite good. AoE resistance of 20 in combination with the new Bahamut card. She's pretty tanky against AoE attacks now, and with the extra stats and the fact that you can build this character way cheaper than most URs, there's a chance we might see more Phoebes in the future, which is really interesting. The upgrades might bring her back into total relevancy. As for what she gets, Quicken basically gives her speed 2 of 200. It's not an immediate turn that she gets, but because that would be stupid and kind of broken. But Quicken now also gives her a speed boost, and that's what people were using her for. Again, Khury as well as Phoebe are my two good, what I would consider to be the higher improvements for this. As for Eurel, our first UR of the actual update this time, Dream ability is missile resistance, single target resistance, so generally more difficult to kill this girl than she was before, and with the extra stats, that will be even more true. Now, as for her upgrade, this is something that I looked at earlier, and I was hoping that it was going to be different, but apparently it's I mean, it is her job level 25. It still breaks physical barriers. It's still listed as the same mod, and it's still the same AP and the number of uses and range. I don't know what changed with this. I have no clue what happened, so I'm just gonna say it. I think this is a glitch or bug or misprint in the code. I'm not too terribly sure, and I can't rate this one right now because I don't know what it's supposed to do. I'll find that out, I'll do an update on it in the future. All right, our last one, Starlit Elena. The global sweetheart of global sweethearts gets dream ability of slash attack resistance penetration of 20 for self, dark resistance of 10%. Now, honestly, this is just good. Extra resistance against her weakness is really good, and slash attack resistance penetration makes her damage much more capable. As for the skill upgrade, it's her job level 25, giving a 200% chance, of course, to ignore fatal attacks, which before also gave critical evasion, but now also gives a accuracy boost. Kind of interesting, because she's basically always going to be running this, but her DPS got a little bit better, and she can now deal with evasion characters a little bit better, which is better into the mirror and in certain cases. I'm curious, this might actually be one of the characters I finally spend a little bit on to upgrade. I would like to also comment for Globaler's interest that Estrella Aurora also got upgraded to have now 185, as well as an increase in accuracy for Elena. So honestly, Elena's looking pretty good. I'm not saying that evasion or her is going to come back completely, because Sephiroth exists, but I'm going to say that this is a pretty good enough upgrade to at least keep her quite relevant in the conversation of good light units. Good to great. I'll be even a little bit nicer. Alright, so to close out this video, let's talk about two MA2s. First off, Cadia, who is a master ability of increasing her HP and blind resistance for allies. TP was up by 40%, and magic is now up from 15% to 35%. Decreased skill activation time by 400 for herself. Chance of being targeted decreased by 3, and buff duration and debuff duration increased. Not bad. I'm not the biggest Cadia person, so it's hard for me to evaluate her based on performance. It's been a while since I've looked at her skills. Honestly, might be kind of interesting in certain cases, but I'm not feeling the most confident. So I'm just going to say this feels like a skip to me, but it might be that she's just a really good cheap white mage for a lot of cases. But I'm feeling like it's a skip. And our last one, the MA2 that everybody has been waiting for. That's right, even you, who didn't even know you wanted it. Alright, so Engelbert. Engelbert is an increase in the HP and light, or HP and attack of light allies, which everybody knows, of course. Defense increased by 15, which he had before. AoE resistance of 10, which in combination with the Bahamut card will also make him quite a bit more tanky. Increased chance of being targeted, so he actually has more hate generation. That is what we like to see with our tanks. Good God, beautiful. He also gets an increase to one of his abilities, his Sentinel ability, which before was a 50% physical damage reduction, as well as a critical evasion of 15. Now it will go up to a critical evasion of 15 and a reduction of 70% of physical damage. Quite amazing into an anti-physical mirror, and will be something I kind of am going to do a little bit more tests. I may even just do a video of kind of Elena and Engelbert having done both of their upgrades, because I'm feeling pretty amazed about this combination, and test it out with the Bahamut card too to really see where it goes. But yeah, interesting upgrade. So let me just say, Jayden and Gilgamesh. Jayden feels like a flat out miss. Gilgamesh feels like a maybe, but I'm going to let someone else do it first. As for our upgrades, Cadia and Engelbert are both MA2s, so you might as well do it if you have them into the AD anyway. As for our dream enhancements for this batch, Going to say Adelard, hard pass, but I could be wrong, and Adelard fans are scary, but there's a new version of Adelard coming probably soon. Zazan is a skip, but a Mimi skip. Murmur is a complete skip. Lorenzo is a complete skip. Khury might actually be meta, especially in limited stuff, depending on how good that speed upgrade really puts him in contention with other units, especially with the extra stats that he'll get. Phoebe, I think, is actually very interesting, especially as a super, super cheap build. Eurel, I can't comment on yet. I'll try and find more information and get back to it. And Starlit Elena feels quite the nice upgrade with everything she got. So there you go. That's Umber's opinions. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it useful. And we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.